Thank you, Mr. Altmeyer. It is my pleasure to introduce our first witness and my constituent, Paul James, President of Rex Oil Company. Paul has over 20 years of experience in the petroleum distribution business and sits on the ConocoPhillips Lubricant Advisory Council and the Colorado-Wyoming Petroleum Marketers Association Board of Trustees. We appreciate your testimony and thank you again for coming here today. Mr. James.
Good morning, Chairman Kaufman, Ranking Member Altmeyer, and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today on the FMCSA's proposed changes to the Hours of Service regulations. My name is Paul James, and I am the President of Rex Oil Company located in Denver, Colorado. I am speaking on behalf of PMAA, the Petroleum Marketers Association of America. I am one of approximately 8,000 small business petroleum distributors who employ CDL drivers with hazmat endorsements. We transport gasoline, diesel fuel, jet fuel, kerosene, and heating oil to both wholesale and retail customers. Our drivers engage in short-haul, local delivery service from petroleum terminals to intermediate storage tanks, mainly gas stations and other end users. Most stay within a 100-mile air radius or closer to home, and they return home each and every day. I understand that the FMCSA is proposing these changes as a result of lawsuit filed by the truck safety advocates who believe that the current regulations do not adequately address driver fatigue issues. However, petroleum marketers have concerns about the proposed changes, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. Point number one, PMAA opposes a reduction of the daily maximum driving hours from 11 to 10. Any reduction in the maximum daily driving hours would drive costs up for many small business petroleum transporters. With fewer hours to drive each day, many companies would be forced to hire additional, less experienced drivers or delay deliveries to the following day. In the petroleum marketing industry, product prices change daily. Often it is advantageous from a price point perspective to purchase, pick up, and deliver petroleum products the very same day. It is not uncommon for drivers to experience unexpected delays at petroleum terminals, especially when there is a steep increase in prices for the following day. As a result, drivers often need every hour available under the current hours of service regulations to complete their daily runs. The daily reduction in driving hours would thus decrease overall safety by putting less experienced drivers on the road. If we are forced to hire new, additional people, buy more trucks to deliver the exact same amount of product. Point number two, PMAA opposes changes to the 34-hour restart period. The FMCSA proposal would place limits on the 34-hour restart period required at the end of the driver's work week before a return to duty is allowed. Specifically, the 34-hour restart provision would introduce 2 nightly periods between the hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. This change would be extremely detrimental to petroleum transporters. For instance, in my case, we have a small window of operating hours to make certain deliveries in order to meet local government restrictions, like in Boulder, Colorado. They grant us access within the city limits only during the proposed time. Rex Oil also schedules several of our drivers during the specific hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. to meet the demand for deliveries, as well as minimizing the daily traffic congestion present in most of our cities. We believe this to be the safest drive time and try to utilize it the best we can. Lastly, this provision would affect those who supply residential heating oil found mainly here on the East Coast. Many times during the winter heating season, drivers are required to respond to emergency calls after their shift is over and often in the middle of the night in order to restart residential furnaces and deliver additional product. Therefore, we would request that no specific time frame be used when calculating the 34-hour restart period found currently in the regulations. Number 3, PMAA opposes the proposed 30-minute driver rest break. Requiring a 30-minute driver break within the first 7 hours of driving time does not result in any noticeable reduction of fatigue among short-haul petroleum drivers. Our drivers are making short local runs between gas stations, farms, and other commercial operations to deliver product in the communities where we live. Which brings me to my last and final point, point number 4. PMAA requests that the FMCSA adopt a provision that would allow time spent by a driver in a parked commercial motor vehicle to count as off-duty time. PMAA makes this request because private short-haul drivers often spend significant periods of time parked in line at terminals as they wait to load product. When fuel is in high demand, a driver wait time may last up to 3 hours. During these extended times, the commercial motor vehicle is parked and the driver remains in the cab. The current rules require drivers to count no driving wait time as on duty. We respectfully request that the FMCSA allow up to 3 hours waiting in a parked commercial motor vehicle to be counted as off-duty time when a driver stays within the 100-mile air radius. The 3-hour allowance would be similar to that the FMCSA already allows under the oil field exemption. PMAA believes that this change can be made without reducing fatigue. In closing, it is essential that the FMCSA take into consideration the differences between short-haul and long-haul drivers. Our drivers return home to home base every single night, and fatigue is thus a less significant factor among short-haul drivers as opposed to the long-haul drivers. We appreciate the opportunity to submit these written comments, and I thank you for your time.